Miriam had read Real Love and Parenting, the book, and watched the Ridiculously Effective Parenting Training, which you all have. So she realized that being responsible was essential to her children's happiness. Essential. One way she taught them this quality was to assign each of them tasks to do around the house. Dishes, vacuuming, cleaning rooms, and so on, each according to their age and ability. Brilliant. Her son, Trey, age 11, was assigned to wash the dishes after dinner. One evening, about 20 minutes after the conclusion of the meal, Miriam noticed that all the dishes were still piled in the sink, but none of them had been washed. She found Trey playing a video game, and although he did see her enter the room, he acted as though she were invisible. You've all seen this. And Mom smiled, knowing this particular trick well, and said, "What are you doing?" Trey, with a defiant look of disgust, even self-righteousness, and without looking away from the screen, said, "I don't like doing the dishes." Now, all parents have heard variations of this response from a child who doesn't want to complete an assignment. "I don't like it," "I don't want to do it," or "Why do I have to do it?" Or perhaps just a huge sigh and stomping of their feet on the way to do the task. As calmly as she would scratch a mosquito bite, Miriam turned off the video game, just reached over and turned it off while he was playing, and waited for Trey to look her directly in the eye, which didn't take long because he'd just been interrupted. "Why did you do that?" he demanded. Self-righteousness for a child is very satisfying. Adults pretty much like it too. Miriam said that would be changing the subject. She was clever to do this, knowing that Trey was simply trying to avoid the real subject that she brought up, which was the dishes. "When I came in the room," she said, "what did I say first?" Because I talked about this in family meetings. Whoever speaks first, that's the subject. She said, "I'll give you a clue. I asked you a question." With utter predictability, Trey said, "I don't know." It was just, it was moments ago. And he doesn't remember what she said. Sure he does. He just doesn't want to. It's kind of a tradition that when an unhappy child wants something, they become brilliant and articulate. Oh, they can explain to you why they deserve it, why it's theirs, why the universe brought it to them. But when you want them to do something, they act like they just had a stroke. Miriam smiled and said, "You know what I said? And this is wise, not to repeat what you said, but to make them recall it. You know what I said? I will sit here. Notice my tone of voice. That's the tone she used. She's not upset. I'll sit here and wait for as long as it takes for you to remember." Now, she'd done this before. So Trey knew from experience that Mom would sit there until he fully participated in the conversation. So almost immediately, he hung his head and said, "You asked me what I was doing." "Yes," Mom said, "and you told me you didn't like doing the dishes. What were you doing instead?" "Playing a video game." "I completely understand why you would prefer a video game over washing dishes. Sometimes I would rather play video games or read a book or whatever than get up early to get everybody's day going, or run all over town to get you to the places you need to go, or go online to help you, for example, buy a video game, and on and on. But I don't play the video game, do I? I do what I agreed to do. What my responsibility is. I do what needs to be done. Sometimes Dad would rather stay home and play than go to work every day. But what does he do? He goes to work because it's just necessary. It's his job. It takes a lot to make this entire household run well, for you to live in. Earning money, driving the car all over, preparing meals, washing clothes, blah, 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 and on and on. And one of the things you do, wash dishes. That's part of it. Everybody has a part to play. Do you agree, Mom says, that the dishes need to be washed? Well, Trey's visibly squirming now because he knows he is so trapped in a corner. And he said, Yeah, but I hate doing it. The self-righteousness coming up again. Mom says, we established that. You hate it. But they still have to be washed. And as one of your contributions, one of your relatively small contributions to the running of this household, you agreed to wash them. Now, if you can come up with another way for the dishes to be washed, which simply has to be done, as you've recognized, without you having to do them, I'd be happy to listen. Trey said quickly, oh, well, somebody else could do them. She said, who? Well, this gets a little harder. He named his older sister, and Miriam said, she already washes the clothes for the entire family, which is a considerably bigger job than washing dishes, as you know. So are you willing to trade jobs with her? Sure, we can have her wash the dishes, and you'll do the clothing. Or are you proposing that she do both the dishes and clothes while you play video games as your contribution to the family? Trey knew he was just getting stuck to the wall and he was feeling a little trapped. Mom suggested that he think about a solution, a plan to successfully accomplish all the things that need to be done in the house and modify it in any way he wants, that he might like, that would be better than the present one. But it has to get everything done. You don't just get to propose a plan that you play. She gave him a whole day to think about it. Mom had participated from the beginning in helping everybody to share in a carefully calculated and balanced set of responsibilities. And they got to participate in choosing what jobs they did. And she was helping Trey to realize that he couldn't just fail to execute his part of the system. When you're driving along in your car, one of the tires doesn't get to just go, I'm tired, and quit. Of course, something could happen, it can get a flat, but it doesn't get to choose. Before she left, she added, if you have a plan, we'll talk. But I don't like it is not a plan. Memorize that. It's very useful with your kids. Trey came up with a plan where he would trade the dishes job for 2 jobs done by another child every other week. It was a little complicated, but they came up with it. The other child didn't mind. The dishes got washed and all the jobs got done. Trey came up with a plan rather than simply not liking the way things were. Hooray! This is an important lesson for us as parents. Never listen to whining and complaining, ever. Instead, ask for a plan that will work. I don't like that. I just immediately said to my kids, I don't care. I don't care if you like it or not. Come up with a plan where that necessary thing gets done. A plan that will work and not create unfair responsibilities for everybody but the person complaining. They have to make it work. Teaching children responsibility is an essential part of our job, to offer them the 3 elements required for any child to be happy, to feel loved, to be loving, and to be responsible. Teaching a responsibility has at least 3 components. 1, teach them the need to be responsible. 2, teach them how to be responsible, which she was doing by giving him jobs. And teach them the benefits of being responsible. Very often a child will do a thing, but not for long until they see how it benefits them. Let's look at that last one. Sometimes we're quick to point out when other people make mistakes and to illustrate the consequences of their mistakes, but we're not as quick to point out when they do well and to help them see the consequences of those choices. One day, Miriam, same mother we've been talking about, was standing at the glass door to the backyard. She was enjoying the sunshine and the beauty of the flowers and bushes and trees. Trey was passing through the room and she called him over to her. She put her arm around him and she said, "Look at that." Now, Trey was responsible for much of the work in the yard. And immediately he asked, "What? Look at what?" Because he assumed something was wrong. Which is, of course, a testament to Miriam's tendency to highlight mistakes more than successes. But not this time. She said, Look how beautiful it all is. The trees are trimmed. There are no dead branches hanging off them. The bushes are full and alive. The flower beds are tended and weeded. It all combines to create a scene that just brings peace to my soul. I love looking out this door. And Trey, she's still touching him. She looked down in his eyes. You did that. Sometimes, several times a day, I get to rest and enjoy a beautiful moment because of what you did. Thank you. Miriam was not complimenting Trey. She was demonstrating how his being responsible contributed to the benefits of living in their family, to the overall running of the household. He felt different about his work in the yard after that. Felt like he was contributing rather than just being inconvenienced. On other occasions, she would remark on something he had done well and ask him how it felt for him. Important that we do that. We quickly point out the mistakes, but we don't say, how did that feel when you did that? And he would respond with answers like, I like feeling responsible. He'd never said that in years past. I like the feeling of doing something well. Or I like using my gifts. We talked about that in a past video answer. I like using my gifts to figure things out. I feel stronger and more complete. As we teach our children to be responsible, eventually they learn to like doing what they're assigned to do. That's when everything changes. They learn to enjoy being useful. They learn that being responsible does not make them more lovable, just more useful, more fulfilled, more connected to everybody who is working together to make our home, even the world, an inviting and happy place. They feel increasingly confident. And that's the biggest point. Responsibility isn't about getting things done. I could almost uniformly accomplish a child's job faster than I could convince them to do it. It's about developing our gifts, our desires to do good, our desires to do things well, our confidence, and all that contributes to what we want most, our happiness. We can teach our children far more than not to complain. I don't like it being an example. We can teach them to figure things out, to discover and exercise their gifts, and to more fully enjoy being who they are as they are responsible and loving.